host for today at Her Rise Story virtual talk show. Today, I'm really excited because this episode we are launching our new series in Her Rise Story virtual talk show. It's called the Five Dimensions of Self Care series. Wow, that's a tongue twister, right? So, okay, why self care? So, I know that ever since we've been staying at home, MCO, RMO, or some people are calling it PKP, some people may not know with what to do with the time that you have. But again, there are some people, right, who are maybe mothers like me, who is working or who is running a business, who is, at this time of adversity, many people are re-strategizing, replanning on what they need to do at work, at home, in their business, in their relationship. There's just so many things to be done every single day. And most often than not, right, women normally take self-care as, like, the least priority. And I think that it will not help us. So this is my point of view. It will not really help us as a woman. And so I think that probably this series could be a great reminder to everyone, especially myself as well, to take care of myself first. Because if I do not take care of myself, then how can I take care of my family, my children, my business, right? So there are five elements of self care. So there is mental, there is emotional, there's physical, there's spiritual, and there's social, right? So these are the five key points that we will be covering in five dimensions of self-care throughout this week. So we will be having exciting speakers, right? Thought leaders in different industries. But for today, I have a great friend of mine who is going to go live with me. Her name is Shadaitul. I want to say something about her, right? Every time that I am in her space, or every time that I have a conversation with her, she makes me feel like very calm, very light, very best lah. Kalau lepas cakap dengan dia je, I feel best betul, She leaves the conversation or the idea always at a better place. Okay, so I would like to introduce to you one of my founding member of Mompreneur Asia as well. So let me put her on screen right now. Shadaitul Intan. Hang on, yeah, I am putting her on screen right now. I'm so excited.
Hi.
Hi, Intan.
Hi, Nini.
Hi, how are
My
you?
audio good? Loud and clear?
Yes, very good.
Lovely.
I love the painting as the
Yeah,
background.
I didn't paint it. I bought it. I can't paint to save my life.
Hmm.
But
I
this is
like
one of my favorite.
one of your favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, right? Because you have it live today. Yay.
Yes.
Okay. Intan, talk to
Yes.
us a little bit about yourself. What have you been up to?
Okay. Well, where do I begin? Yeah. I'm actually a mother, just like you. I'm a mother of two. I have two grown-up daughters. They are, wow, 24 and 25-year-old this year.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe it myself that time really passed. And if I could turn it back time, I would love to experience that motherhood experience again and do things much better. So anyway, so 24 years as a mother, and I've been in the corporate. I've been working since 1995,
Mm-hmm.
and I spent 9 years in corporate. And after that, I left, and I was looking for something that I want to play a bigger game. So at that time, from having a very steady job, good ESOS, good bonus, I gatal and said, okay, let me jump and try something on my own. And I went into sales. And that was in 2004. It's my 16th year on my own. And that is, if you know what people say here, it's like tak ada pasal cari pasal. From having a stable income, I went and choose to have zero salary. Those are some of the adventures that I've taken in my life. And 16 years, I never look back. I kept progressing, from sales to training, and from training as well. Over the 12 years, since 2008, I have changed my business model a couple of times, because,
Mhm.
as you know, in business, there's no business that remains stagnant. We're always having the market changing and all that. So, and this time around, again, I'm doing another pivot. I'm doing innovation. I'm doing something different to the business, because I know it's crucial that I need to act fast.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Intan, we are now
Mhm.
experiencing our. I think this is our fifth week, right, of movement control
Amazing.
order.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So, how has it been so far for you? In life and also in business.
Um, this time around, it's pretty interesting, because this time when I first heard the news, I just went like, okay, now what? You know why? Because my life has always been exposed to all kinds of adversity. So if I may go back, my one of my earliest struggle was actually in school, mentally and emotionally, because I was different. I speak my mind. I'm different from the rest of the school. So I get verbally bullied.
Mm-hmm.
I know people don't like me. So that was one of my first struggle, mentally and emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I've entered university, was okay. And then after I entered workplace, was still okay. And then in life as a whole, you know, even before I started running my own business, marriage, I lost my marriage at the young age of 30. And then I make that change, career change. And then within this 16 years itself, there's so many ups and downs. I've lost money. And even before that, 1998, I was in I lost money from property, So I lost money, I think 2 or 3 times already.
Mm-hmm.
So losing money to me now is like, I can't be bothered.
Mm-hmm.
I've passed that, yeah. And other losses, including change of things, you know, uh, immediate change of things, just like now, this environment, from being able to go out and continue my training in classes. All my classes are postponed to unknown time. They're cancelled. So again, it's you know another cycle of changes, adversity. But if I look back to my previous adversity or challenges that I faced, I think I'm much more prepared right now,
Mm-hmm.
mentally and
Mm-hmm.
emotionally. And I
Mm-hmm.
have to say that I owe it to self-care. So I'm going to share with the audience, some coping strategies. I hopefully, for those, especially for those who are first time going through such adversity, people who have gone through life every smooth sailing, and suddenly now it's going to going to a dip.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, when
Mm-hmm.
it's first time, you may have a little bit of challenge of how do I handle this? How do I handle my emotion? Am I supposed to be sad? Am I supposed to be frustrated? What do I do? Yeah, so I'm going to share. I would love to share some of the coping strategies
Yeah.
based on what I've learned and my
Yeah.
own
I'm,
personal experience as
I'm
well.
really excited to learn about it too, right? So you are an NLP and EQ certified practitioner, right? Okay.
Right. It's NLP and mindfulness practitioner,
Okay.
uh, certified EQ assessor, where I'm able to assess people's level of emotional intelligence,
Wow.
and what are the things that they can do. I can guide and coach them. What are the things that they can do to have a higher EQ and
Mhm.
get the results that they want in life?
Cool, right? And yeah, so share with us Intan, how that this situation that we are in right now, and I know that EQ plays an important role, right, in coping and rising,
Mhm,
above from where we are right now, or just
mhm.
coping with daily life, right? So yeah, would love to hear you share.
Right. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, yeah, before crisis, at the time when there's no crisis,
Mhm.
emotional intelligence has been linked to as an indicator of better performance. In fact,
Okay.
there was study done where they find that people with higher EQ
Mm-hmm.
can perform, they can give better outcome 10.2 times better than the rest. And
Cool.
this outcome will get 10.2 times, yeah? And
Mm-hmm.
that's study done in Asia Pacific. But
Mm-hmm.
if it's in Europe, if they have higher EQ, their performance is about 7.8 times than those with lower EQ. Now, what kind of performance we look at? We're looking at number one, effectiveness, the ability to generate results at work or business,
Mm-hmm.
relationship, quality of relationship, the ability to connect with people and build quality relationship, well-being, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
having, being able to perform at your optimum level without jeopardizing your health, in fact having better health than before.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing, having a quality of life. We're talking about people who able to perform, happy, good relationship, and come back home and happy with what they have done, the sense of fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I, based on the conversation that's been going around, I've also been observing there are many types of people. There are people who can perform really well. They can get their multi-million dollar deal. The best at workplace, KPI achieve. But sometimes you see they kind of have relationship, or sometimes they see the health, taking its toll on the health. Yeah. And we also have, sometimes we know people talk about, oh, my leader is very nice, very kind, has never pushed us for anything, I have the nicest boss, you know but it turns out the boss has a very high empathy to the point that he's not able to push for performance. So you sometimes you can have this either end, you perform well but at the expense of people's feelings and well-being, or you really take care of people's well-being that we don't perform.
Mm-hmm.
So having EQ is about having this balance.
Balance.
Yeah. So that's on a normal business day, right? Now when it comes to crisis like this, when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to a downturn, or going through a challenging situation like this,
Mm-hmm.
EQ is actually needed to have, for us to have mental and emotional resilience,
Mm-hmm.
meaning the ability to bounce back from whatever emotions that's pulling us down, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's a panic, worry, if if you're talking about business leaders, yeah, or business owners, the first thing that people start thinking is where to get money to pay staff salary. Yeah. So I have that before. I have overhead, I have staff salary. I tell you, every month, that's all I could think about. Even before my holiday, before my handbag, it's always staff salary first. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a time where EQ will help you to bounce back, because with EQ skills, this is where we are able to process emotion,
Mm-hmm.
uh, navigate it,
Mm-hmm.
and then come out with mental agility. So mental agility is the ability to have that clear mind such that you can look at complex problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only then you can start looking at solutions. What do I do now? How do I pivot my business? Where do I go?
Okay.
But if business leaders or team members have not processed all these emotions and mental clutter, they will not be able to have that clear mind or mental agility to come up with solution on how should they move forward with business. Now that is, we're talking about business leader, right? So at
Mm-hmm.
individual level, if you're a housewife, still you need the same skill. Okay, now that I have my husband all the time at home and I have my children all the time at home,
Mm-hmm.
even though I don't have a boss to report to, so how do I manage this? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is a time where people need to have the skill on how to process, how to navigate this emotion, and how to harness that resources and turn it into an energy that gives you an idea,
Mm-hmm.
tap into creativity and find solutions. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where EQ comes in to be. It's very, very important at this time.
Oh, good, right? So it's understanding, it's like communication profiling, knowing EQ, emotional and mental wise, where
Mhm,
is my natural strength is,
mhm,
and try to adjust to create balance in my ways of being,
mhm,
so that I get to communicate or be effectively
mhm.
among different level of people or different surrounding. Is it that?
Somewhat similar. So we can have four different personalities,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Four different ways of thinking and the way we communicate. But within that four personality, there's
Mm-hmm.
also a spectrum of different behavior. For example, let me give you an example. If someone who's sanguine, right, but
Mm-hmm.
low EQ,
Mm-hmm.
the behavior will come out as tantrum
Mm-hmm.
or or not having patience, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But someone with higher EQ will be creative, will be spontaneous, will be you see or not. Same personality, but one, they can have two different type of behavior depending on EQ, their level of EQ. So
Mm-hmm.
so having a high level of EQ will actually help us marry our emotions and rational thinking. So without it, some people can go all the way to be super emotional,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I can tell you this explains the panic buying. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so example, let me give example of panic buying. Why do people get panic buying? So this is mainly because they are driven by their high intensity of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
What if there's no food tomorrow? Bam, go and panic buy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What happens in our brain is that when we our emotions, we have a scale. So let me give you an example. If we are mad at something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on the lower scale will be I'm annoyed, I'm irritated,
Mm-hmm.
I'm tak suka lah, I want to get, I'm getting angry, and all the way, if it's very intense, it becomes rage. Rage, you can see where people can kill each other. So that's a high intensity, right? So in the case of panic buying, is a high intensity of fear.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that when your emotions is very intense, a part of the brain that usually communicate the emotion to the logic thinking, it actually shuts down.
Mm-hmm.
That link shuts down and immediately goes to another part of the brain that says, now you either fight, flight,
Mm-hmm.
or flee.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the nature of our brain works. The use is actually, you know, last time when people go hunting,
Mm-hmm.
so when people go hunting, when they hear the sound of tiger, so
Mm-hmm.
that's when they get
Mm-hmm.
that high intent, because the brain is sending a signal something is dangerous, it's a threat.
Mm-hmm.
So automatically the body will either fight, if they have the two, they will fight, or they will run away and save their life.
Mm-hmm.
So that is those days. But today, that fight, flight, or freeze can come in a form of panic buying and finishing out the toilet roll or gardenia
Mm-hmm.
from the store. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when we understand how our brain works, the moment we are aware and start noticing, I think my emotions getting more intense,
Mm-mm.
then you're able to, number one, pause. So
Mm-hmm.
what we do is to pause first
Mm-hmm.
and observe,
Mm-hmm.
and then we calm it down, and then we go to our rational mind. Okay, what do I do with this?
Cool,
So
right?
these are the things that in my EQ workshop, I will guide people on step by step on how to process it. Because most of us, we don't process it. We react, we don't
Mm.
respond.
Yeah.
And these are the things that school don't teach us.
Mm-hmm.
School asks you to learn how to count,
Mm-hmm.
memorize facts from sejarah, know your science, and sit for exam. But if you get bullied, say if
Mm-hmm.
I have a teenager today and get body shame on social media and she's feeling very, very hurt, how would she process it? Who will teach her how to process that?
Mm-hmm.
How would be her reaction? You remember there's I think sometime last year, there's a girl who put asked people to vote whether she should continue her life or not on social media, on Instagram, and people start putting a vote that she should end her life, and she didn't kill herself.
Oh gosh, I didn't
Remember?
know about that. Okay.
Because people don't know how to process their emotion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are the kind of things that made me want to do this more, and I'm very passionate about this because for me, because I have gone through a lot of adversity myself, and I had to find ways on how to process this. Nobody taught me that. I had to find myself, and I think I'm lucky because I'm a resourceful type. I don't wait for people to
Mm-hmm.
help me,
Mm-hmm.
but I go and find it. So
Mm-hmm.
now that I've found it, I found it to be very, very useful. And I want more people out there to practice this, whether you're a man or women. And you know how different is men and women process their emotion?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
know how?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So there's a pattern. Some people say, oh, this EQ and emotional matters, these are all female stuff. We men, we don't talk about emotions. But just because they don't talk about it doesn't mean that they don't have it. So there's a two different pattern. Yeah. So a lot of people think that okay, men they don't talk about emotion, but what do they do? Either they suppress or they find other ways to handle it. So sometimes it's cigarette, sometimes it's alcohol, and sometimes it's sports. If it's sports, you're lucky. They go out, play football or whatever. So that's how they process their emotions. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, and for women, just because they express their emotion is not all good news. It really depends on how they process that. So for example, let's say you have a girlfriend who's every time you see them they will express their emotion, but guess what, if you see them for 10 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, they keep expressing the same emotions like a broken record.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets more intense and intense and intense. So EQ is not just about expressing emotion, but it's about processing it and doing something about it. So just because some women can express an emotion does not make them have higher EQ. Yeah. So EQ is not about that. It's about processing it and doing something about it. So both male and female both need to have um, the right skill set on how to process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it comes from understanding where I am first as
Yes.
a person, as an individual, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So the thing is, okay, so maybe I'll just do a little recap, right? So what Her Rise story is about is it came about because I realized that when many people come up to me and they ask me, you know how how are you everywhere, why are you always working, why do you have such a high energy all the time, uh, you know and there are times that people avoid me because when they're feeling low they avoid me because they feel intimidated by my energy. But so there's like that. And then there are also times that when people are experiencing low energy, they would come to me, to get a bit of that energy kan from me. So her rise story came about because I realized that most often than not, many talk shows, many conferences, many workshops, people always share about their success story, right? But we all know that to get to success, whatever success may look like for each person, there is always challenges along the way, kind along the journey, and that
Yes.
is something that people not talk about much or amplify because
Yes.
it just feels good to talk about success, right? But I guess if we get to talk more about challenges, and what's the mental model, what's the ways of attitude while having faced these challenges,
Mhm.
I think that more people will be inspired, more people will learn from it, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
you shared with me, I've known you for a very long time, kan Intan, and you are one of these people that when I know that I'm having a conversation with you, I look forward to that, because I know that you put me in a very good place when we are having that conversation. But you also share with me that you go through many many challenges, and because now that you have you are talking about EQ, maybe you can share with us a little bit, how what was your mental model, or maybe share with us what are the kind of challenges and how did you instill EQ as a skill to rise above these challenges.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about
Mm-mm,
barriers to developing EQ. Yeah. Before I share about what people should do,
mm-mm,
first step is we want to be aware of what is it that's stopping us from processing or acknowledging this all these emotions that we're feeling. Yeah. So
mm-mm,
number one is some people wait too long when they experience a certain emotion. So, example, post breakup, very sad. So they wait and wait and wait. I don't want to process this yet. I just want to binge in front of Netflix. I'm not gonna cry over that. I'm just gonna eat my ice cream. But they're not processing the emotion, right? So what happens if you wait too long? It will bottle up and it gets more intense. So right. So some people dismiss it. Okay. So I give you an example. In our culture, boys are told not to cry. Boys don't cry. Boys are not supposed to be afraid. So if it's a leader of the family, he cannot come back and tell the wife, actually, I'm very scared. I might lose business. I might go bankrupt with this whole COVID thing. They so they don't do that. They because of that, they dismiss it. No, I'm fine. We'll be all right. Yeah. And there are also people who acknowledge, okay, I'm fearful, but I don't want to do anything about it, hoping it will go away. There's also people who do that. Yeah. And there are also people who rush the feeling. Yeah. So, for example, uh, now, right? So, suddenly, let's say if you own a business and suddenly you have to close, so no revenue for the next 1 month, right? So we actually grieve of a loss, yeah, and not just over death, yeah, over anything that we lose, we will go through a process of grief. So grief takes time to process. It's a cycle.
mm-hmm.
Is that wave of emotions coming in? Okay, I'm panicking. Okay, now I'm worried. So they need to go through the grief first rather than the very next day. Okay, guys, too bad the shops are closed. Or let's find solution on what to do. So if when they do that, they're not really processing and acknowledging and come to terms with the emotions. Yeah. So these are 4 ways where people prevent themselves
Mm-hmm.
from processing the emotion. Now, if you want to know the reason why, this is mainly due to how we are being brought up. Some of us are not allowed to express our emotion. In Asia, you just do what your parents told you to do, whatever you're feeling. I know, doesn't matter, just do well in school, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the space to talk about feelings, and I don't blame our parents because maybe they don't know how to process it neither. So imagine a kid coming, Mom, I'm so sad. Somebody called me fat in school. So what do you expect the mom to say? Oh, stop crying. What?
Oh.
Yeah, so some parents just don't know how to process that. Some will go, oh dear, oh I'm so sorry, I'm gonna beat that boy up. Different parents will have different reaction, yeah. So sometimes some of us grow up uh, thinking that it's not okay to process our emotions, yeah. So I have a three step model that I want to share with the audience today.
Yeah, I want to
um,
write this out for our audience. 3 steps of
Three steps of navigating your emotions.
navigating your emotions.
Yes.
Okay.
So the first step that you need to do is you need to validate the emotion. Validate meaning to acknowledge and accept and come to terms that the emotion is there. Now, in order to do this effectively, you must not judge yourself for whatever emotions that you're feeling. So it's okay to feel panic, it's okay to feel sad, it's okay, it's absolutely okay because it's just a feeling. And feeling are information, they are data.
Mm,
Okay? It does not define you.
mm,
You're not a loser just because you feel sad.
mm,
You're not a loser just because you feel afraid.
mm,
Okay, it's just a piece of information. So validate that, accept that, okay, this is what I am feeling. Yeah. Now, another exercise you can do in validation is so that you don't feel overwhelmed. You write it down on the journal, and instead of saying I am sad, I am afraid, you write I am feeling afraid. Okay,
Okay, so
so
it
what you're doing,
becomes external, right?
yes, so it becomes an external data.
Mm-hmm.
But when we said I'm scared, you are actually defining
By
yourself. I'm
yourself.
a coward.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even take this. When you're at this age, no. So you write it down,
Mm-hmm.
put it down in a book, and write I am feeling.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I am feeling, and and identify uh, the intensity and identify the mix of emotions. Sometimes we can have more than one emotion at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I am sad, frustrated, and annoyed at the same time. It's okay, right? So validate, do not judge. If you're a man, if you're feeling so scared right now, put it down.
Mm-hmm.
I am really, really scared right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's okay. No, if you don't want to share it with other people, it's okay, but you got to be comfortable, reflecting it on yourself. I know when it comes to men, they don't talk about emotions to another man. It's so not cool, right? But your intrapersonal has to be there. You need to validate that and acknowledge that, right? So that's the first step. Validate your emotion. Do not judge them.
Mm-hmm.
Take them as it is, because these are set of data, set of information, and they're actually neutral, right? Now the second step is to E stands for explore. Now at the step of explore, this is where we study the data.
Okay.
Okay. And the data is information data, right? So, for example, I am feeling sad, frustrated, worry. So, at the step of explore, you want to look at why is it that you worry? Why? What is this feeling trying to tell you? So, in all this information, there's a message for you. So, for example, I'm worried. The message is you better get prepared.
Mm.
Think out of the box. Do something,
I
right?
think this is
Oh,
step number 2, right?
explore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I am frustrated. What's the message? What is your expectation again? Are you expecting that all your team members to be all cheery working from home and perform like how they do at workplace? Is that your expectation? Is that why you are frustrated? So when you explore, you want to take a moment and process it. This is a part where people always skip. They just have an emotion and then they just take action and they read. They react. Yeah, they react too fast. Okay, so take this step to explore and really see what are all these emotions are telling you. Scared. I'm scared. I'm scared if I don't have money. Then time to look at, okay, where do you have all your savings? So that's the first thing I did when they announced PKP. Okay, where are all my piggy banks? How much can I get from where? How can I, what can I say? What can I do? Yeah, because I have that worry as well. Oh, will I have revenue? I've been on zero income for the past 2 months. I mean, past 5 weeks. Okay, so step and explore is to study and read out what is the message that the emotions is trying to tell you. Okay,
I guess
now
step number 2 is the most difficult one, right? Because
yes,
many people do not want to face the reality, kan? Because if they face the reality and look at the data, they know that they need to do something about it, kan?
yes,
Macam tu.
yes,
Mm-mm.
yes, and some people fall into the trap of feeling helplessness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will give you one more perspective to help people have
This number
go
3,
through it. Yeah. Okay. So number 3 is to transform.
to transform.
Yeah. So validate, explore based on the step where you explore, where you process the what is the emotion trying to tell you. That's where you transform that and do something about it. So, for example, if you're really, really, really worried, okay, if you process it well, that will translate to your tenfold effort or probably tenfold of creativity, finding ways to address what you worry about.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
So if we don't take this step, it may look like this. I'm worried, frustrated, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what to do and jam.
Mm-mm.
Or you get agitated. Your wife start asking you, where's my gardenia? And then you go, can you stop it about the gardenia already?
Mm-mm.
Because you're bottling out, you're not processing it. Or even us like moms, if we don't process it, our children come in and ask for this and that's when we snap. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So transform this. This is where you transform uh, based on the intensity of your emotion and what the emotion is trying uh, to tell you. Yeah? Okay. So the other tool that I would like to share with people, especially at the times of adversity, what we need the most right now is optimism. Now, optimism is a way of looking things. Yeah, it's not positive thinking per se, but it's more than that. Yeah. So when we lack in optimism, is because of three things. Yeah, it's because it's because of the way we see things. Yeah. Okay. Number one, we will fall into the pessimist trap when we see things like permanent.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So like, oh, PKP, I'm permanently doomed. Like,
Yes, right. I was just watching a video on this. Oh my gosh.
yeah. So it's like, this is permanent. Oh no, for 1 year we cannot travel. It's like a big deal, a permanent, yeah.
Mm.
But if you shift immediately and say, hey, this is where it's worthwhile to Google, yeah. So you Google the history of pandemic. It's all temporary. It's all temporary. So when you able to see the other perspective, then you have some glimpse of optimism, which is what we need really right now. Okay.
You know what? I was just watching like an awesome video on this.
Mhm.
Rather than when we are facing challenges, rather than look at it as a permanent situation, what we could add on to that sentence is, I have I'm facing challenges in my business right now. I am feeling sad or frustrated right
Mm.
now,
Yes,
because
yes.
it is not permanent, kan?
It's not permanent.
Yeah.
It's not permanent. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And how fast you want to bounce back differ from person to person.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't say take your time until the end of PKP, but you would know, you would know your situation better. Like for me, my first week it was all Netflix, and I felt like a holiday
Mhm.
because I know, because I pretty much prepared, and then and I was very relaxed, and then and I can tell you, I did say I was relaxed doing nothing, but that was one week I felt most lethargic. I slept early. I felt dizzy. I felt dizzy because I'm doing nothing. And then what happened? Second week, I was busy and attending all the webinars and talks.
Uh-huh.
Even though the topic, it doesn't matter what the topic is. I just want to be there, and I want to hear what are the conversation in the industry.
Mhm.
What are people talking about?
Mhm.
Just get into the mood. That was a time when I will start exploring,
Mm.
and then I started to learn how to deal with Zoom.
Mhm.
And then the third week onwards, that's when I start looking for solution. I redesign my work, talking to people. Webinar I started last week, and the rest is just action. But I did have that one week of doing nothing. That
Mm.
was crazy. So if you're still there, I would say don't take too long. Process
Mhm.
it and do something. Do
Right.
something about it.
And I also learned one new thing recently, right? So, yes, it's because we have the social media. So,
Uh-huh.
globally, we are so connected right now,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Hmm.
And the whole hoo ha, the whole drama about what's going on with this pandemic is like, yes, to some, it is the biggest thing. But I learned this fact, this is actually the fifth most pandemic, the pandemic that has most death, right? Still it is number one, it's still HIV and AIDS. So I was listening to this webinar like at 2 a.m. in the morning, right? That actually our world is used to crisis and pandemic, but it's just that how we respond to it, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, because it's there's social media and people kind of believe everything that they see on social
Yes.
media, kan?
Yes.
Mm-mm.
We are bombarded with a lot of information,
Too
and
much
different
noise.
people respond differently.
Mhm.
That's why even in my WhatsApp group, I carefully select what I want to share, because I know some people there, they will take it. Even I can take it, does not mean that they can take it. So in the end, you know what keep circulating? Jokes. At least I make somebody laugh. Okay.
Yay! Yeah.
Right. So we
Okay.
have some questions here.
Yeah.
Oh, I
So
didn't bring my glasses.
okay. We don't have questions for now. So I have
Yes.
shared
Oh,
with our audience what are the three steps
three
that
steps.
you gave just now, and
Mhm.
Intan, what will be the coping tips in terms of coming
Coping
from the
strategy.
engineer angle, right?
Okay.
While we are facing this right now.
Okay. So I'm gonna go in from the even before the emotional part, but I'm going to go in from the thought,
Mm-mm.
thinking process. Yeah, because they are what we call thinking traps, or what we call the way of thinking that's leading to all this anxiety, panic,
Mm-mm.
anxiety. And
Mhm.
if they don't do anything, yesterday I was listening to a talk by a doctor. It starts with panic, anxiety, depression.
Mm-mm.
So by the time depression, they have, it will manifest physiologically, and usually they have to see doctors already. So once they reach there, they either see doctor, medical doctor, or physiologist, a psychologist, a clinical psychologist, right?
Mhm.
So they have a different treatment of that. So I'm going to go in from the perspective of at the root cause before it gets too bad. Yeah.
Mhm.
So here is with the first step we need to do is we need to be mindful. Mindful is actually being aware of our thought process.
Mm-mm.
And there are several thought process that can lead to anxiety. So if you want to control this, or you want to manage this, you got to start by looking at what are your thought process. Yeah. Okay, so number one is this. Some people, their thinking process is like this. It's called catastrophizing,
Mm-mm.
meaning they see everything as worse off than they are. So,
Mm-mm.
for example, now we have pandemic, right?
Mm-mm.
So, someone with a catastrophizing thinking will think of all the worst scenario to the point of, if I go out, this is the thinking, right? If I go out and buy grocery, will I die? Yes, there are people. The thought process can be like that.
Mm-mm. Very
Yeah,
drastic, right?
very drastic.
Mm-mm.
And I don't blame them. Maybe that's how they grow up. Maybe that's what the parents have been feeding. So I've noticed this, certain old people that I meet, the conversation is like, there's a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's always think about the worst case scenario. Oh, what if, the
Mm-hmm.
paranoid lah, the paranoid.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the thinking pattern that can lead to anxiety. They
What is
always
the
think
word again in time? Catus?
catastrophizing. It's catastrophe,
Okay. Okay.
uh, catastrophe, sizing, catastrophizing.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. The other one is this. People who always think that whatever happens, they are to be blamed.
Mm.
Yeah. It's all about me. Yeah. It's all about me. Okay. Oh, this happens because I didn't do this, I didn't do that. Right. That's one. Okay. Then the other one is, anything happen is always somebody else who caused that thing to happen.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always about them. Yeah. Always about them. Okay. So these are some of the thinking ways of thinking that can lead to anxiety. There's always blaming others.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, there's always blaming themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are also people who like to catastrophize.
Catastrophize. Okay.
Catastrophizing, their thinking, the way of thinking is catastrophizing. Now, within this catastrophizing thinking, is also different pattern. Some like to dwell on it over and over again. This is going to get worse, blah blah blah. Some people, they have it scattered.
Okay.
Okay, scattered. One day they thought about, oh my god, I'm going to die if I go out, and they forget. And then the next day they think about it again. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So all these can lead to anxiety. So if you ask me, what's the first step in EQ, is actually to be mindful of your thought process. Why? Because your thoughts, all this pattern of thinking, will determine your emotions. Yeah. So can you imagine people who are, their thinking process is always thinking about the worst scenario? I'm sure the emotion is fear. How can you sleep at night if you are constantly in fear?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even if you lock up the room, you have roof, you can never remove the fear. Yeah. So mindfulness, be very, very alert of our ways of thinking, because your ways of thinking will affect your emotion. So manage it at the thought level.
Okay. Okay. Um. So, talking about that, right? I know that probably some people are just not aware how they are feeling right now, kan?
Yes.
So, or may often we hear people say, "I don't know what to feel. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to think. I don't want to think lah." Like that, kan?
Some people just go numb. Oh, I don't have a feeling right now.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh-uh.
Yeah.
And
Um,
normally when under pressure, people tend to do that. And from the EQ punya point of view, how can we handle that?
okay. It has to start with, like I mentioned just now, do not judge
Mm-hmm.
the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the reason where people numb themselves because is they judge.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't feel very sad. I'm such a loser if I cry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm such a coward if I feel afraid. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they label. So they have that in their belief. Therefore, they don't even want to visit or acknowledge the emotion. So first step is drop all the judgment. And this is actually a mindfulness practice. So in mindfulness, we learn to observe everything and drop all judgment. And I think that is one of the uh, main thing that people need to work on very first step, even before they look at. We have 8 competencies of EQ, but before you enter into learning the EQ competency, mindfulness has to come in first, which is drop the judgment against all this emotion. Be okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Be absolutely okay. Okay. The only reason why you are fear to visit it is because your own judgment.
Yeah.
We have our own judgment, and sometimes we are so hard on ourselves, but with other people, we're very forgiving. Oh, yeah, of course, yeah, she feels sad. Oh, pity her. But when it comes to you, oh, I'm not supposed to feel sad
Mm-hmm.
because if I cry, that means I'm a loser. I'm weak. Yeah, weak. So some women relate sadness, crying to weak.
Mm-hmm.
And that's their own definition, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas where actually they can just pick up the phone, talk to a female friend, and that actually is a strength
Mm-hmm.
to acknowledge that hey, I'm feeling this emotion and this is how I feel right now. I just want somebody to listen to me. So self judge to me is mindfulness, drop the judgment, um, experience it and process it and do something about it. Because what will come out from that whole processing is that you have that mental agility. You have clear, you come to term with your emotion. You don't carry baggage of, oh, I must feel sad or scared.
Mm-hmm.
You're okay with it. You can admit, oh, the first night of PKP, I got so panicked, I got so scared, and you can laugh about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
and be okay with it.
So Intan, um, well, time is running out, but I want to ask you a few more questions, right? That if so I'm a huge advocate that if you are, you feel that you are facing some challenges with emotions or your mind, then go for therapy lah, go see a
Yep,
therapist, go and
yep,
see a clinical psychologist. And whatever that you are saying right now is something that is pre-therapy, before
yes,
that even happened, right?
yes.
And I like this. I like this. And if let's say anyone want to start, so let's say I want to start. Oh, Intan, I wanna do this. Now, what do you do? Do you do consulting or do you do workshops? Do you do coaching? What do you do?
Okay. I there's two services that I do.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally, I run workshops for corporate. So
Mm-hmm.
companies call me and I do classroom training. And this is where in my training, people I don't teach or I don't lecture. That's why I find it challenging to do a video just telling people what to do. But in my workshop, I provide people with tools, example, VET steps, and they will actually do it there and there, and they will solve it there and there. So that for the past 12 years, that's always been my approach. Change or reframe your mind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I did building confidence for people to do public speaking, they do it there and there, and then the next day they do the public speaking immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So workshop is a great way for you to people to come in, learn, and do it there and there. right?
Mm-hmm.
I know we have a lot of free courses, Coursera, Udemy, but you'll be listening for lectures.
Mm-hmm.
You will get knowledge, but whether you do something about that knowledge or not, you are totally on your own. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, so when people come to workshop, they get the opportunity to work on it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with this PKP, I have found a solution where I can put it on virtual, and for me, I when I convert it in virtual, I want to make sure that they have the similar experience,
Mm-hmm.
which is collaboration, group work,
Mm-hmm.
social learning, learning with friends,
Mm-hmm.
exchange of ideas, sharing.
Mm-hmm.
That usually takes place in the class. That's where people get to learn and get to work on whatever they need to work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I found a mobile app that will facilitate this process. You can still have fun. I tried it with some friends last night. They say, "Oh, that's so much fun." It's like going on social media. You do some learning and you do some engagement, and then I will also have an 8 hours of online virtual class where I will be there. So this is how it's different from enrolling hours and hours of lectures.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm there for the 8 hours,
Can ask any
my
question.
participants get to do, yeah, to do the work. If I say do this VET, do it right now and tell me how your emotions have shifted. So get the work done within the workshop itself. So I'm launching my virtual workshop starting this week,
Mm-hmm.
and at my page, I will soon release the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And how I will group it is it's a small group of 15 people only because it's virtual,
Mm-hmm.
and I will group it based on your function, your career, or like say if you're a business owner, I will group it with other business owners because
Cool.
you don't want to put your boss and your team in one class.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're sending your team of people, just send the same level. Yeah, sending a middle level manager, just send the middle level manager because they will have a similar set of challenges, and it's easier to bounce ideas and shares and support each other in that kind of environment.
Do you do one to one as well?
I do one to one,
Mm-hmm.
and my one to one comes with assessment.
Mm-hmm.
And this assessment is by 6 Seconds Organization. It's a non-profit organization based in California,
Mm-hmm.
and their focus is to develop and test and assess EQ levels of everybody in the world, and I'm working with them, and one of our vision right now is to have 1 billion population practicing EQ, so that we
Cool.
can have we can have people who manage their emotions well, can stay calm under pressure, and able to have a clear mind to find solutions to their challenges. So that's what I'm supporting, and I'm part of this organization.
Mm. You know what, Intan? Once you launch and opening up for registration for your virtual classes, you could pass it to us, and I could update our audience and viewers for today, right? And
Sure.
I do have your link right now
Mhm.
on the stream where people could actually look at your Facebook account. All right, and before we wrap up, Intan,
Mhm.
what will be that tip? Maybe two tips
Mhm.
to cope mentally and emotionally in these challenging times right now.
Okay. I would say two things. Number one, reach out. Do reach out, friends. Whatever reaching out. If it means to Google and read up on how to manage it, do that. Reach out to people, friends, sources, resources to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't keep it to yourself, pretending it's nothing happened. Don't be in denial. Get help. Okay. Number two, remember that this is all temporary, and we will all come up from this a better person, stronger person. Definitely, there's a lot of blessings uh, in whatever that's happening. And don't forget to count your blessings, even the little things. We still have free oxygen. We still have free oxygen. If you still have food on the table, be very, very blessed. Even if it's not gardenia, it's okay. You still have food. Okay. And if this is a time for you, I know a lot of people find it. This is a time for them to reach out and do something, a volunteer, sending food to those who have challenged to have food on the table. Do it. Do it. Whatever makes you happy and fulfilled. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's it. And you will remember this moment. One day you will look back and say, Alhamdulillah, or thank God that happened. That was such a blessing. Usually when we're in it, we don't feel it. It's only when we look back. Now I want to invite you to start looking at that now.
Mm.
You'll be feel very, very blessed. We have so much lessons to learn from this
Cool.
event.
Right. So, thank you so much, Intan. I
Thank you,
learned
Nini.
so much. I learned so much. There are so many things that I learned along the way that was put into a perspective. With this conversation with you. And again, I always love the conversations that we have online or offline, right? And yeah, I guess, and also I would like to add on the two things that I have been asking myself daily has been, number one, what is the solution that I could provide to my community right now? What is the problem that I can help with,
Mm.
in the community right now? And number two, what is that one thing that I can do today that will help me rise post COVID-19?
Yes.
Yeah, so that
Perfect.
has helped me a lot, from feeling that uncertainty. So at least there is some purpose that I have every single day, kan?
Excellent.
Yeah, so
Excellent.
thanks so much, Intan. Any last word before we
Thanks to you for this. I've always been resisting doing live and video. I'm very old school. But
no,
I tell you, this time, COVID time, this is the I've produced two videos. This is my third live. Okay, so I cannot resist it anymore. It's the way to go. I
we'll
cannot
come
be in
up.
front of a class anymore.
Mhm.
So this is the way to go. So I will keep producing videos. I will keep reminding myself to be in contribution. Thank you, Dini.
Thank you so much, Intan. All right,
Okay.
bye bye,
Thanks.
guys.
Thanks for everyone watching.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you learned as much as I did. And yeah, stay safe at home.
Yes.
They say now hashtag kita jaga kita, right?
Yes.
All right.
Kita jaga kita.
Bye. See you,
Okay.
Intan.
Bye.